Alright, fuckers, welcome back to practicing artwod, beginner roadmap, artwod, grind node, multiple rounding, blah blah blah, right? Same bullshit I've been fucking saying for the past, I don't know, 20 hours, essentially, 20 videos, 20 fucking 3 weeks, right? 4 weeks, I don't know. I'm thinking I should move on after this, but this is such a good exercise to really challenge my brain. But either way, how are we gonna challenge ourselves today? Join me, draw along. I keep fucking call to actioning. Join me, draw along. Join me, draw along. Stop being a fucking waste, right? And I say that with all the love. You are not a waste. So stop being what you are not and join me and draw along. Let's challenge ourselves. You don't have to do this. If you can do more, do more. If you can only do general multiple rounding, only do general multiple rounding. But let's challenge ourselves and let's not have a lisp either. But yeah. And the thing I mentioned last video of this little breakthrough that it's not really a breakthrough, but Kim Jong-il said this one thing, and I came to this conclusion on my own, quote unquote, right? Like in the sense that it slipped my mind, made that conclusion, then I realized, oh, this is something Kim Jong-il said all the time, which is while he's drawing something, he's thinking about it from a different angle, which is how his spatial reasoning and proportions are so good. Except he did that for 27 years to get to the point that he did, right? And I'm gonna spend the next who knows how many fucking years trying to get to that point as well, right? But from now on, when we practice these, we are going to, while drawing it, think about it from a different angle. So that's extremely difficult, and that's what we want. We want cognitive friction. We want to make lots of mistakes. Ooh, that's so difficult because I'm thinking about this angle right now, but I have to rotate it in my head as I'm drawing it, right? And I still struggle with this, so it's extremely difficult, right? I'm literally trying to rotate this in my head. What I'm seeing while I'm rotating it is I was thinking about this, right? I was thinking about it from this angle, but that's the thing. It's super difficult, right? And again, let's just round this so we get some rounding practice in. And even as I round it, I need to start thinking about it from a different angle as well, right? Because that's also extremely important. And obviously this edge that's closest to me should have been thicker, so that's on me. But very, very, very difficult. Like again, if I'm going to do this, something like this, right, I need to literally think about it in two different perspectives while I'm drawing it. That's hilarious how hard that is, but the better we get at it, the better we get at it. What a fucking profound statement. The better we get at it, the better we. This is why I deserve 1 million subscribers. Fucking absolutely retarded statements like that. The more you do something, right? The more you. I don't know what the fuck I'm even trying to say anymore. I can't even make fun of my own jokes. That's how shit I am. You'll probably notice that my voice is a little bit nasally, and that's because I don't think I have COVID, but if I do, I'm going to intentionally not wear a mask and infect everybody. But if I don't, I'm going to also intentionally not wear a mask and not infect anyone. So it's a win-win either way. But yeah, I also want to focus on making better designs. But let's do this. That was just like a little test run for my mind. But now that we know it's extremely difficult, let's spend the next hour just fucking grueling our brain. Because don't forget, right? The challenge I'm giving to myself. So I actually think I literally have to do this for at least another 6-7 hours to really get it down, right? Because after this, I'm probably going to take a break from the. I say a lot of things, like I'm going to do the entire fundamentals beginner roadmap or the intro to form roadmap, as artwod calls it, right? But I'm literally thinking of just pausing and then just going off on portrait and then pausing that after like 3 months and then going off on figure. And then I'll come back to this and then pick up where I left off. I don't know. I'm thinking about it because I really, really, really want to start drawing people. And a lot of artists say, like, if you feel it, just go for it, right? Don't force yourself into a thing. Because I literally have practiced the fundamentals roadmap for 50 hours now, right? Like, there's 50 parts, so there's 50 hours. What the fuck was that burp sequence? But at least my sentences are incoherent. That's all that matters. But let's see. All right. This is how I need to get into the practice of just drawing things while thinking about them in a different manner, right? So this is extremely difficult. Let's not misconstrue. Like, this is extremely difficult. I don't think I can understate how difficult it is to draw in one perspective while thinking about a different perspective, right? Is it necessary? Who knows? but is it going to improve my spatial reasoning? Almost without a doubt, right? It's like, it's kind of almost without a doubt this is going to improve my spatial reasoning. How do I know? Because I'm just making things more difficult, right? How do we know anything is going to make us better when it's extremely difficult, right? So I just need to start thinking about things in that sense, that they're just going to be very, very difficult. And again, I'm thinking about this from the bottom view. I'm literally rotating this completely, and I'm thinking about it from the bottom view. And that is also just turning my brain. And don't forget, we also have a lot of other things to focus on, like line quality, the actual perspective I'm already drawing in, which is subpar, right? My application, that line was really bad, right? So we have quite a few things to think about while we're doing this, right? But then again, while we're doing this, we also have to consider that. See, I literally could not see that from the bottom that much. Super hazy, super hazy. But again, that is literally how we grow. Okay, I think I kind of got that in my head a little bit. And this is the main reason I'm even doing this, in terms of like trying to see it from my head, is because I think it's a great way to rotate as well. That multiple rounding was incorrect. I should have multiple rounded out. See, there's so much to think about. That multiple rounded could have been a lot better. I completely forgot to round this, so I kind of half-assedly have created a rounding here. But let's see how this goes. Right. And then, okay. See, I'm trying to think about it from the other way, and then what if I do that? What does that do from the bottom? Yeah, what does that do? Well, I can round this as well, actually. And again, my lines need to be super clean. So we always need to be thinking about the box as well. Look at that, a million things to think about. Who would have thought? Who would have thought art is a thinking skill? Absolutely nobody, until they actually try to learn it. And they're like, oh shit, this is a thinking skill, right? So that's also very important, right? And then I don't know how I want to approach this from the bottom, but we can still try it out. And again, we need to just start adding all this shit. Maybe I can fraud this. Maybe I can do something like this. I don't know if that works. I don't think that works. Multiple rounding is a difficult endeavor after all. And then I need to think about that from the bottom. Need to think about this. How does half this shit even fucking work, bro? So much to think about whilst I draw. And we can do something like that. Right? Why not make it 10 times more difficult? Cool. There you go, something like that. So that is multiple rounding that's occurring, right? I need to make it more intense, so we need to do something like this. See? And then I can track that and maybe do something like that. And I need to think about this from a different perspective as well as I'm drawing it. And this time I need to think about the entire thing from a different perspective. This is actually off-center. It would have looked a lot better if it wasn't. But let me also do a little bit of this. There you go. Right? I need to honestly keep working on my shapes. The angles are actually what's fucking it up, right? But overall, I'm gonna leave this because I don't like the shape. I don't like the shape. So I'm gonna rest my brain. I encourage you to do so as well. And then I'm gonna keep trying to create interesting shapes. Jeez, what the fucking burping, bro. I'm proud of myself, to be honest. The more people that are off-putted by my burps, the more I'll do it, right? I think that's literally the road to 10 Milo at this point when it comes to money. But let me rest my brain. Goodbye. I'll be back. I hope that fucking gave you a jump scare. I meant to say, I meant to be like, I'm gonna cough, just a warning. And then I opened my mouth and I sharted. So, verbally, that is. But let's see. We need more interesting designs. Right? We'll need more interesting designs. Because I always start off with a diagonal, and that goes pretty well. Right? That goes pretty well. Voice crack, that goes pretty well. But then it's when we exit the diagonal that things start to take a turn. Now the question is, where can they take a turn? Right? Can they take a turn like, hey, every time I say taka, like, I think of Gintama. Hey, Takatin, hey. Time is money. There you go. Something like that. Right, but now how can we add a rounding? We can do something like... If we do something like this... Let me just try. See? Something like that. Which then... turns into something like this. Not really intentionally trying to do these shapes, but... It's kind of just what's coming to mind right now. Do I like it? I think it's alright. Honestly, there's so much more that could be done. But I'm retraining my brain that the effort is the reward, right? So it's times like these which I'm just telling myself, hey, it doesn't really matter, because what matters is that you put in a fuckload of effort. Oh, but I forgot to think about it from a different perspective, so let me do that right now. Let me just do that right now. Because that's how we're probably... This is just a hypothesis of mine. That's probably what's going to help with memorizing shapes. Hopefully. Maybe. Who knows? We'll see, right? It's actually really cool that while I draw it, I'm focusing on memorizing these shapes as per a different angle, because it's literally just gonna help me, at the very least, it's gonna help me understand what I'm drawing a lot better, which is still beneficial, right? It's still beneficial to really know what I'm creating, because that is what's gonna actually help me in the long term, right? If I know the shape that I'm creating. And again, this is a skill, by the way. What I'm doing right now, talking and explaining myself while I'm fucking visualizing the box, visualizing the lines I'm going to draw, visualizing the angles, and visualizing that all in a different perspective at the same time. I want to make it very clear, all the different things that are going on in my mind while I'm fucking talking, right? So not easy whatsoever, right? Very, very different from your mother. But let's see. Even that is getting slightly easier because I understand. Ooh, we could do a different type of rounding here. We could do something like... Hold up. This is almost like a form intersection type of rounding, and I'm just experimenting right now because... I mean, I have nothing to lose. It's all about experimentation. It's all about experimentation, right? So there's that. And then let's see. The shape has to have more oomph, as they say, oomph. So we can do something like Okay, well that wasn't really an oomfa, but it was something, wasn't it? Okay, and then I'm just trying to think. Okay, I didn't really do that from a different perspective in my mind, but maybe something like, let's see. Okay, you know what? We'll just close this for the time being, but we have to think because of this. It's like that basically, right? You don't really see much. Thinking honestly, I'll be completely honest. Thinking about this from a different perspective is very helpful, just in understanding the form that I'm making. So I would actually suggest this to everybody: draw something in a different perspective to actually like draw something in one perspective while thinking about it in a different perspective. It seems to be a great way to at the very least try to understand the forms that you are creating, right? It's like almost a next level towards shape design. Again, let's do something like this. We're gonna create the rounding, but from the inside out. Didn't really work, I don't think. Maybe. But I need to think more about this shape. Right? Oh, fucking sniffles. Patient 0, add it again. But let's think. Let's think, right? So, okay, so we could do something like this. And again, I love this. Actually, I'm really loving how I'm literally thinking about this in a different perspective while I'm drawing it. It's helping me understand what, at least I believe it's helping me understand what I'm drawing a lot, right? I guess I'll have it go this way. Yeah, that's fine. And it's again, like every line I'm making, it feels a lot more purposeful because I'm taking the time to hopefully understand what it is that I'm drawing, right? And obviously I need to work on making things not to be as like close together, like spacing things out. But let me just let's do something like that, right? Because that way we can do something like this. I'm just like kind of trying to think about what this shape could be. Do we want to invert it, or do we want to do something like this instead? Maybe I want to do something like this instead. And now I have to think about the space it occupies, like so. And that line should probably be straight because this line is also going to be straight. And then I'm going to try something like this, but I don't think that made any sense. So maybe I can do something like that. Yeah, that's what I meant to do. Okay, that was a huge mistake. That's wonderful. That is awesome. Now, how can we make this? I know, something like this. Gotta keep everything in that box. Fucked it up a little. It's supposed to be more out here, but maybe that can literally just be the rounding, right? Not really. Never mind, doesn't work. Well, I tried. It failed miserably, so that's good. And we can just... Well, the perspective is actually a bit off. And again, thinking about this from a different perspective is difficult. But I'm just gonna add the rounding here. Let's just say it goes out like that, so it's like this. But again, I think I'll honestly use this session to just focus on ideating interesting designs, while obviously I think about it from a different perspective. Because again, I'm hoping that that will give me the ability to access the memory bank, right? And be able to think about what I'm drawing in a more consistent manner, right? To memorize that. But I'm gonna rest my brain again. I'm really gonna use this session to ideate. It's already been 20 minutes, right? I'm gonna go to a buffet because it's my birthday today, actually. I was gonna fucking talk about my birthday in the beginning and be like, give me attention, I beg for your likes, but 20 minutes in, nobody's watching. So yeah, it's my birthday. It's my birthday. I'm 28, right? The youngins will call me an unk, but I'll just call them fucking. Is there a word for youngins? The fact that I'm saying youngins is already a goddamn testament to the fact that I'm older, I guess. But yeah, I have to make like finger wavy. Look, I'm 28. Woohoo, woohoo, I'm 28. Right? Do my hands look wrinklier? Honestly, 28 is a great age. I can't fucking wait for 35. If you take care of yourself, right, as a human being, if you exercise, if you constantly challenge your brain, if you get good sleep, your 20s are actually the worst years of your fucking life because it's only gonna get better in your 30s, right? In terms of just your fucking health and your physique. I'm thinking as a guy, but dude, like 35, oof, that's gonna be 35 is the peak. That's gonna be some good shit. So yeah, 28 is just is a stepping stone. These are the building years. Anyways, I'm just gonna rest my brain. Wait, multiple rounding is interesting. There's definitely a lot of ways that I could be approaching this. I just think, honestly, I might spend a few hours ideating on design because I think, oh shit, I hit the fucking tripod with my foot. I honestly think that's one of the biggest things holding me back is the fact that I have, because design is what? It's patterns. And what are patterns? Things that we kind of gravitate towards, right? That's this. I'm just explaining this out loud to myself in order to hopefully help me learn. So if I put patterns on everything I draw, right? If I just focus on having some sort of a pattern, right? And then we can just go from there. And I need to obviously be thinking a lot. But if I just put patterns on everything I draw, and hopefully and just keep kind of working towards creating patterns, right, in my mind, then I think that it would be, at the very least, it would help, no? Would it not be beneficial to, I don't know what the fuck I'm trying to say, bro. At this point, I don't know what the fuck I'm trying to say. Let me try to explain myself one more time. If I keep seeking out patterns amongst familiar, if I create familiar patterns, right? Like I know like diagonals, right? So if I keep doing diagonals, but then I try to intersperse it with something unique, like, okay, we add a straight or something like that, just allow my mind to freely ideate. And then I keep trying to repeat this sort of thinking process as I'm designing, right? I think it would help with creating the muscle memory in designing, right? In generating new patterns and creating consistent patterns. Right now we've seen, like, I've had snippets. There have been instances where it's like, okay, that's kind of an interesting design, but we have to be able to understand and internalize what was the internal state when this little thing was created, right? When this was created, what was my internal state when I made something like that? Like, that looks pretty unique. That looks decently unique, right? That looks decently unique, you know? This looks okay, but, and there have been multiple pages before this where there were times where I was like, oh, I'm ideating, I'm creating, but then I almost lost it in a sense, if that makes sense, right? Like it was almost just gone. So what are the rules? There's big, medium, long, right? All that shit, but how do I internalize that, right? Like right now, what can I do? I think I want to like make it jut out, right? So what can I do to really make it so I'm actually understanding what it is that I'm drawing, and it's not just me kind of half-assing it or just dicking around, right? Because do I even understand the perspective of what I'm drawing? You know, that's the real question. And do I understand the manipulation, right? Right now I'm trying to create like an outward rounding, something that's projecting outward, and that's really fun. I'm not gonna lie, that's actually really fun because it's definitely challenging me, even in terms of just my lines, to really push them. Okay, so now I've created this, right? I'm gonna keep trying to think out loud while I'm drawing. There's obviously the perspective is off here, of course, right? And the rounding, I think, in and of itself, definitely has errors due to the perspective and misunderstanding of form, right? But now I am here. Where can we go to start making this design look like it has a purpose, right? And I think that's when I start to have to think like genuinely pretty deep. So if I do something like that, and I do something like this, and then I start here and I do something like this, right? Because again, this is the bottom view, right? So I also have to think about that. And then I do something like that, right? Is this a decent looking shape? We're about to find out, because I'm gonna have to round it, right? And on top of that, I'm gonna do something else, which is let's see, we're gonna have to see how it goes. But this is actually the really fun part, because this is where I actually get to understand whether I understand, right? Like, this is where I actually get to test my metal, as they say. But we could do something like this, right? Now, I think I can actually round it internally, have that be part of it. Actually, that's not a bad design choice. See? So something like that, and then maybe... So I think the perspective there was a bit off, right? And what can we add here? Does anything need to be added there? Right? Does it need to be added there? Can I not just connect this? Thinking out loud. Right? I'm just thinking out loud. If that is the box, then I've clearly already messed it up a little. But we are going to continue onwards, because these mistakes are where we grow, right? Whatever. Now I've done this. Now, how can this look more interesting, right? Is this all that there is? Or could I just really do a beveled rounding like that, which also has, you know, something like this. So that's really beveled in. And then what happens? Because could do something like this, or this is actually like really gone in, right? But how does that inform the design? Does that make any sense? I don't think so, right? I don't think it does. So we could try something like maybe... And again, I actually completely forgot, full transparency, right? I completely forgot to think about drawing this from a different angle while I was going about it. Why? Because I'm thinking about design. I'm thinking about design, and thinking about design is very difficult, right? But that doesn't mean that we stop, right? That doesn't mean that we stop. And again, I can do something maybe like that, right? It is a form of multiple rounding, and it's kind of, it's like we're experimenting with the rounding to have a different shape than what the middle is, because that does occur in real life, right? I believe so. He laughs, but he also cries. Okay, so maybe we can have this connect back inwards, right? I don't think this shape looks that interesting. But what about it makes it look not that interesting? I think it's because there's too many large things at once, right? It's like, this is quite a large focal point, and now there's another large focal point, right? And plus, my perspective skills clearly are detracting from it, right? And then what could be added here? It's like, because this, obviously I can round this out as well. That's too much, but... Okay, we rounded that. Now what? That doesn't look good, so I'm gonna stop there. But I think there's merit to something like that. Like, that shape, out of everything that came out of it, that shape was pretty cool, right? And I also think I have to account for plane changes as well. Right now, everything's just facing that way and jutting out this way, right? But if we have things facing us, but then jutting in and out like on different planes, because that's another thing. Like I've had things that go on different planes, like that one. It's not bad, but I'm gonna rest my brain. I'm gonna try again, right? The whole point is to keep making mistakes until something we start moving along something, right? Start moving along something. But anyways, let me rest my brain. Yeah, and the thing is, like, another thing about design is I understand that taking references from real life is great. It's just hard to think about all those different things at once, right? So obviously, I could technically. There's a lot of things around me that are hard surfacey. I have my fan. I have this fucking literally this ring light that is displaying the light that you see onto the page, right? I have my desk. I'm just looking around my room, but to keep all of that in your mind. Again, we can only keep 2 to 3 things in our minds as we drawing, and right as we drawing, what the fuck, ebonics? As we're drawing. But what's it called? So right now, what I'm keeping in mind is literally thinking about it from a different perspective while drawing it from one perspective, like the perspective I am drawing it in, while thinking about design, while making sure my lines are clean, right? So, and also the skill of multiple rounding, which is very difficult. But you know, I think we should just keep trying. So maybe something like this, right? Okay, so something like that shape, you know. And again, if I think about it from the different perspective while I draw it, it will actually, surprisingly, what the fuck, become a lot easier. Not perfect, but it's interesting how, well, okay, it's not perfect at all, but I'm just trying to think out loud. And then I think it's while having small shapes, right? Maybe having small shapes. So let's, okay, because again, I'm thinking about it from one perspective, drawing it from another perspective. So that's another rounded thing right there. Right? What makes these shapes interesting is that I'm the one drawing them, apparently. And then again, see, I have to keep thinking about the actual rounding itself as I do the rounding. So a very difficult skill. Then let's make that a bit thicker and then more nuanced, thinner back there. Right, we shouldn't really see the backside that much, although I would love to see the backside. The backside is my favorite side, but let's see. And then what can we do with this shape? We can definitely do this. I feel as if anything involving cutouts always make it look more interesting, right? Like anything like this, for some reason, and I think it's because of it's kind of like design ideas that have already been done, right? Like for some reason, this stuff looks really interesting to us. See? And then this is good because it also allows me to start thinking about different things. What a fucking profound statement. It allows me to start, oh, that was a fuck up in my line. It allows me to start thinking about different things. It allows me to start thinking about design. And this is like where we get inspiration, I'm starting to believe, right? Which is that, what am I trying to say? Yeah, I think inspiration also comes from just thinking about all the things we've been exposed to, right? And many men have exposed themselves to me, so many men. But see, like that looks interesting, and then obviously on the opposite side it would look interesting as well. But I also have to think, like, would that connect? Would I just let's see, like, would I go like this, and then this is with the perspective. Yeah, something like that, right? I would like to connect this. Now that was pretty difficult to do, I'm not gonna lie. I had to do a lot of thinking there to get that. So something like that. That just means it's open on both sides. And again, now I'm literally thinking about the other perspective while I'm drawing this, which is fucking difficult. Right? I don't know if that line should have existed. Who knows? I don't know if I fucked it up. Let's just finish this off right now with, right? And then we can just do another beveling over here, right? And this one we can make a lot larger, I think. I think I can even try to make it so it's kind of warped. That doesn't really work. That didn't work at all. But that's okay. It's directional at this point, right? That's the beveling. That's a cone more than anything. And then let's see. Let's just try to figure this out. Again, I'm literally trying to think about it from one perspective while still having the other perspective in my mind. Okay, so does that make sense? It's supposed to be connected. No, it doesn't. It actually should have come down here. Something like that. That would have been better. But if we've already got this, might as well make it work, right? There you go. But see how this design already seems to have more merit, right? Just because, at least I'd like to think, because I'm experimenting with different sizes, different shapes, and like different angle changes, you know. Again, the most difficult part, the most difficult part about designing that I'm finding right now is just the vernacular, the language to describe exactly what we're doing. Because if we can't describe what we're doing, then we're honestly shit out of luck, right? Like there's literally no fucking point. I mean, there is a point. We're trying, but I'm saying it's very difficult to understand what it is that we're doing. I kind of fucked it up at the end there, so that's good. But let's try again. Let's try again. It's already been fucking 40 minutes, and Jesus Christ, this page is gonna take a while to fill up. Which is fine by me. I'm not complaining. But I only did 3 things, didn't I? I did 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's not bad. But let's see. Let's do one more. Well, let's just keep going. But and I want to try to figure out what makes design, right? It's symmetry. So why don't we just start with general basic symmetry, right? Why don't we start with basic symmetry? Okay, let's do this. No, wait. I want to do it from the bottom perspective. Yeah, okay, let's do that. The bottom perspective, right? Oof, that's actually a pretty difficult perspective for me to think about right now. But if I start, so symmetry. So symmetry is having something like this, right? So we do something like that, and then we do the exact same thing. Oh, and I'll obviously have to think about it from a different perspective while I do this, which is good. But we have something like this. Okay. Oh, I fucked up the perspective. I completely fucked up the perspective. It should have been something like that. Yeah. It's okay. Mistakes happen. We'll just ignore it. Could have been better, right? But symmetry is something like that. Okay, I'm gonna try again because I don't know if there's any point to continuing this. Well, let's see how I could have beveled it. Right, so maybe I could have done something like Because we can go inwards, can't we? But is there any point? I don't think something like that exists. Maybe we could have gone outward. Could do something like this instead, right? Like a much bigger multiple rounding. Something like that. So there's that in terms of symmetry. Now we have to think about, okay, well, what can make this shape more interesting? Is it if I did something like this? If I did something like this? Okay, we'll have to think about the perspective. Yeah. Is that quote-unquote interesting? Right? Doing something like that, and then... But then what does that shape even become? And I obviously like messed up the perspective again. But what does that shape even become? Right? Because yeah, technically maybe I could just do something like... You know? But then what? But then what? Is this multiple rounding, or just... do something like that? That doesn't make any sense. It is multiple rounded, I think. It honestly does look pretty multiple rounded to me. Obviously, these lines and these lines over here. Like, a lot of these lines are so shoddy that it doesn't really convey. But how do we make this look like a design, right? How do we start bringing things together? You know? Is it if we start adding plane changes? If I start adding plane changes, so something like... Why's my voice so nasally? Something like, if we do plane changes like this. But something like, I don't know, what the fuck? Well, technically, we'd just be covering this in a box. Right? So that's not really a plane change. I'm just adding a plane underneath it. But again, what does this all create? Again, I could literally just create like a really outward rounding. Right? That is like, oh shit, okay, this is quite the rounding. And then maybe I could add a plane change here. Right, to really be like, okay, this is a rounding. I don't know, perspective is also off. So let me rest my brain and I'm gonna keep trying. I think honestly I need to spend a few hours just creating designs. And obviously a lot of this comes from observing reality as well, but I need to focus a lot on creating designs because I feel that's where the interest comes. And it's good. Like, there's a lot of friction in my mind right now because I'm trying to figure this out, which is great because we want friction and we want to keep making mistakes. These are all really, really, really bad mistakes, which is amazing, right? This is a great thing. But yeah, I'm gonna rest my brain. Please do the same. It's good. I'm glad I'm slowing down and just enjoying it again. Because at the end of the day, I want to know what I'm doing. I want to know what I'm problem solving, and I want to know what a process, replicable, yeah, not replicatable, replicatable, am I right? Anyways, replicable process, right? Something that I can be like, okay, I can create this, I can use this as a system to go over and over. Just like the replicable process in all of these drawings is thinking about the box and thinking about the grid lines, and focusing on my fine motor skills and making sure everything is like as clean as I can make it, although it's all been very shit. But the point is, that's replicable in the sense that, like, the attempt I'm putting, what is the replicable effort is, I guess, what I'm trying to say, right? What is the thing that I can keep doing over and over and over as a process, right? So again, if I were to, okay, like, I can create this shape, but where does this shape go? Where do we go from here? Right, where do we go from here? Do I suddenly, let's see, what kind of fucking box was I even trying to make in the first place? Yeah, like, can I do something like this? Right? And does that make sense? Right? If I just add a little bit of rounding on this as well. Right, that's a mistake. That makes sense. No, does this look interesting? What if I don't know, what if I expanded this shape? Like so. Like that, right? And then there's a diagonal there, and then I expanded it. And this has a diagonal there, came out. What if I expanded it like that? Does that make sense? Right? I'm just gonna, like, shoot ideas out, see what I can do. What if we have something like, right, and then in the middle it's like this, right? That's a pattern. It's the thing is, for me, it's not about the making of the patterns, it's about the combining of the patterns, right? Because I can do this is fine, this is okay, right? And it's like, what do I combine it with? Do I combine it with maybe, let's see, like something like this, right? Because then now we have something that can, right, does it go out like that? Obviously the lines are, see, this is difficult. And obviously, honestly, I just stopped thinking there. Obviously, as I said, words of wisdom. But I think for me, it's just about pushing the boundaries of the shapes themselves, right? Because obviously I'm starting a lot with these diagonals, but do I need to make them the same every time? Right? There's a lot of multiple rounding that can be done, that I do want to do, and I'm pursuing. It just comes down to how I want, because it's basically, for me, because multiple rounding and just rounding in general, it's such a diverse skill. It's like, where can we take this? Because we can literally take this in so many different directions, right? How can we make it so the rounding that we're achieving has, okay, so I could do something like that, right? And then again, come back here, bring it up, and then maybe there's just a cylinder there, right? Now that is something I can hopefully replicate. You know what I mean? Same with this. Like, it's about trying to create visual interest, but the visual, see, my lines are horrible right now. The visual interest is primarily being made through combining the knowledge, right? So I actually shouldn't have done it like this, but if we've done it like that, I can just create the rounding like that. Kind of works out. Just trying to think, because that doesn't make any sense. I made this come out. Then what happens here? See, there's also logic to be had, right? What does this line go straight down? That wouldn't make any sense, because then this would look like it's a plane, essentially. We already know that we're trying to make this not a plane. Then if it goes out, like that, it's good. It's good. Okay, 10 minutes left. So I want to keep practicing and trying to understand patterns, right? Let's try to create another design. let's give it our best shot, right? So we have this. Obviously, I love doing this. So this is a design, quote unquote. But again, right, if that's the middle point, who says that I have to just meet this? I can literally do something like this, go down, bring it back. Right? So it's all about thinking about the perspective as well. But then again, the design can be completely altered. See, that's already so unique and different than what I've done before. Right? Already I fucked up that perspective, but that's okay. So now it's like, okay, where do we go from here? Because this is similar to what I did there. Right? This can be a multiple rounded thing. You know, it 100% can. But now how do we make it interesting? How do we make it unique? What can we do to this? So let me just multiple round it. Maybe not as heavily as the other one, right? But let's think about this from a different perspective as I multiple round it, right? Just trying to constantly challenge my brain. Okay, cool. Now, where can we take this shape? We can take it in a lot of directions, right? But what is the direction that would make it look like, wow, this is really cool? Well, for one, I need to get down my my ellipses, because my ellipses have been insufficient as of late. Let's project it outward. So something like that. And again, I have to think about this from the front as well. Okay, there's that, right? Maybe we can just do something like that, right? Or it's a tiny little rounding thing. Maybe it makes sense, maybe it doesn't. Okay, but where can we take this shape? There, just like I did, where was it? Here? Right, like that was starting to look pretty fucking interesting. So, okay, well, we'll start basic. We'll start basic. We'll start with just expanding this outward. Like so, right? Expand this outward. But that doesn't mean everything has to be expanded outward. Could we not also just do something like this? Right? And then couldn't we? Could that, because it's a plane change, and as long as it's following the logic of the rounding, what is stopping us from doing that? Just like how I could do something like this, maybe. Like that, perhaps? Right? Now it looks more hard surface-esque, right? But I'm just thinking out loud. And then this is also just, what did I do here? I followed the perspective until I changed the plane, right? And it's coming outward and then coming a bit forward, right? And when I thought about that, I also thought about how it looked like from the front. And from the front, it's jutting a bit forward. This is actually jutting a bit forward at us, right? So that is an interesting shape, you know? And we could even take it a step further and just make this rounded as well. Didn't work. It didn't work that well, but it's okay, right? And then again, it's what's stopping us from doing something like because this can just inform This is a rounding that's informing the plane change, right? So I think something that makes roundings look really cool, as I'm hopefully finding out right now, is that we can create information that, or contours essentially, these are contours that affirm that plane changes are occurring, right? And let's see, I want to do something like, if I can just have a, there you go, something multiple rounded like that, cylinder. I don't know, I don't think that looks that good, but either way, this is just me thinking out loud, right? And then what's stopping, I do this, and then we can just come back down here again, and what can we do here? Wait. What can we do here? As the man, as he's tried to say, but what can we do here? Because obviously we want symmetry, but what shape can exist here? Right? Can we not just, and again, I lost it a little bit here, right, in terms of like thinking about it from a different perspective while I'm drawing it from one perspective. But can I just do something like, how many would that fit? 1, 2, yeah, 2 is enough. Can I just do something like this? Right, following the contour of the form. Oh, well, perspective actually was a bit off there. It should have come up there instead, but either way. And then same thing, right? It's jutting out a little bit in front. So it would look something like that. Let's see. Actually, no, it has to be aligned with that, right? So this is good because it's also keeping my design sense in mind as well as my perspective. Because this is jutting out and then a little bit in front. So, see, that's a really big box in my mind for me to understand it in. This could very well, very easily, as I'm doing this right now, not be appropriate. But I'm hoping that, see, like, it is, because it has to hit the, it has to be appropriate. We'll see. Yeah, like, there's nothing really stopping this from happening, right? And again, if we just think about the form, and now we're just adding interesting things. And again, I don't like the word interesting. I actually really dislike the word interesting. Antonio from artwod uses it all the time, right? Not that I dislike him using it, it's just I don't like the fact that it's such a vague fucking word, man. Like, it's such a vague word. You know, what the fuck does interesting mean? You know, we can't just say, oh, make an interesting design, and then everybody's like, okay, make an interesting design, hooply. Like, does it fucking work like that? We need to understand, okay, perspective is definitely off there. We need to understand what interesting means. You know, what creates an interesting design? How the fuck are we supposed to know that? This is actually completely off, I think. It was supposed to be like way back down here. Because that's way too long, right? I'm trying to think. In terms of perspective, yeah, this should have been way closer. Should have been around here. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I'm just trying to logic it out in my brain right now as to why. Because if I did that, yeah, it should have been around here, right there. Okay, well, now we know, right? But yeah, I don't like the word interesting because it makes you think that it kind of just put such a general vague things like, oh, okay, make it interesting design. What the fuck does that mean? What does an interesting design even mean? How do I make a design interesting, right? There are rules. Okay, what are the rules? Okay, oh, big, medium, small. Okay, how the fuck do I do that? Right? Play with the shapes. Cool, I'll play with the shapes. But again, what the fuck does that mean? Right? Give me examples. Give me tangible examples. I understand conceptually in this sense and mess around. Like I'm messing around right now, right? I'm just trying my best to make sense of it and messing around. I understand that. But you see how just to get to this point, it was kind of like, it was just very vague. Okay, well, I'm done with this, and it's been an hour exactly. I'll leave it for the time being. That was really fun. I think I'm starting to understand slowly that plane changes within shapes are aesthetically pleasing and good design, right? And then plane, like little details and things that like are added onto those plane changes are also seemingly, hopefully, good design, right? Things intersected, attached with each other. So honestly, the main thing I need to do is generally, it's just observe more. Observe hard surface things more in real life. Literally just observe how things intersect, how they interact, and that is the key. And just only, and don't overload my brain. I think this is a key call to action for myself and anybody listening, whoever goes to this in the future, right? Is we should not overload our brain, right? Drawing this from while thinking about it from a different angle, I kind of died at the end for the past 10 minutes, but that was a really, really good challenge. But mainly, in order to create more interesting designs, so I can come back, get better at designing, and then start rotating them in my mind from memory, right? Because I'm already like designing it and looking at it from a different perspective in my mind while drawing it. That was a fucking load of a sentence. That was a load of a sentence, but I hope it made sense. Draw something complex while in one perspective, while thinking about it in another perspective, which in turn will allow you to hide it and draw it from memory from a different perspective as well, right? Because you're just constantly thinking about it and rotating in your mind as you're drawing it, right? Which has been an amazing practice, I'm not gonna lie. But like I should, and I need to make the perspectives I draw it, I look at it in my mind while I'm drawing it in one perspective more difficult. For example, the next level to what I'm already doing right now would be to look at this from like the bottom underneath over here, right? Like from the behind, because like, oh shit, like I literally can't see any of that. How do I conceptualize that form in my mind while I'm already drawing it in this angle? So that's obviously another level, which will take me probably another fucking 20 plus hours to get to, right? Dedicated hours, focused hours, right? That's the important part. And yeah, I think like in terms of design, observing and just focusing on one or two repetitions and patterns I see in real life. Like, okay, like there's a hinge and it interacts like this and it looks like this shape, and I'm noticing generalized patterns of that shape within hinges. Now I come back and I only draw, not only, but I really start incorporating these hinge-like generalized pattern shapes into my drawings. I'm thinking out loud because this is what's helping me discover that these are the next steps I can take towards making hard surface look decent, right? So yeah, honestly, like I had a bit of a roadblock, but just thinking out loud and trying to figure this out has been really helpful. So I'm gonna keep going. I'm probably gonna be on hard surface like multiple rounding for fucking a while, right? But this is what really improves the spatial reasoning and the design thinking. Like Antonio says this one thing where he's like, if you can design good hard surface, designing anything else becomes so easy, because hard surface, i.e. mechanical things, have such intricate designs with generalizable rules and patterns and structures that follow things, right? That if we can do complicated things with this, then technically a lot simpler things like the figure mannequin and the body and hair, it's like, oh, okay, like I just need to start incorporating this intuitive sense of pattern and this objective, intentional sense of pattern that I've been studying, that can be taken from hard surface machinery and then replicated in its own nuanced way, but still applicable in things that are less design oriented and difficult, such as figure, portraiture, right, creature design, all that stuff. That's just my interpretation of what he said and what I've seen in general of like proficient artists who talk about hard surface design and how it translates to other things, right? Or I'm just talking out of my ass. Either way, I hope you had fun, right? I hope you had fun. This was fucking fun as shit to me, but I gotta go now. I gotta head to my friend's base because we're gonna do my birthday. It's just not my friend. It's funny. My friend's girlfriend, who's obviously my friend now, but my friend's girlfriend also has the exact same birthday as me. That piece of shit. Thankfully, she's younger, so I'm the better one. But so we're gonna celebrate our birthday with a buffet, and my girlfriend's gonna be. It's gonna be great. But yeah. Anyways, as always, fuck you for watching. I keep drawing, and please give me money. Thank you. Bye.